Thank you, Moya. Hello and welcome. My name is Christina Mondini, and I am the Director of Product Management for Agentforce Customer Zero here at Agentforce. Here at Salesforce, actually. And why Customer Zero? Well, because just like you, our teams are also customers of Agentforce. Now, this is the fourth session in our series where we're exploring how Salesforce's customer success organization utilizes Agentforce to both drive team efficiencies and get to better customer outcomes. And today we're focusing on what makes AI truly effective and impactful, the user experience. But before we begin, I want to start with a big and hearty thank you. Thank you for the gift of your time and joining us today. We truly value you and are so excited that you're here so that we can share our insights and experiences. And a very quick reminder that Salesforce is a publicly traded company, so base any purchasing decisions on what is currently available. Now, to dive in and introduce our speakers, first up is me. Again, my name is Christina Wendini, and I am our product manager for Agentforce Customer Zero. I live and breathe our Agentforce experience every single day. And with 2 decades in tech, I know firsthand how big of a difference the right technology can make for a business. So I'm excited to share our journey and the product decisions behind how we're using Agentforce to tackle challenges to deliver real impacts for both us and ultimately our customers. And I'm super excited about our co-speaker, Bree. Over to you to introduce yourself.
Thanks so much, Christina. Hey, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you're joining us from. I'm Bree, and I have the honor and privilege of leading the brilliant UX and creative design team for customer success here at Salesforce. Throughout my career, I've held many different positions with different titles, and all have one thing in common: customer experience. What drives me is a passion for making sense of complexity. I often tell people I love making order out of chaos, mapping customer journeys, and identifying the moments that matter most in our customers' experiences. So I'm really excited to be presenting with you today, Christina, and chatting with all of you.
Great. Thank you so much for joining me today, Bree. Bree and I actually go way back, and I'm so excited that she's here to share her wealth of knowledge and experience with all of us. You are in for a treat. And so now that you know a little bit about us, it's only fair. I'd like to get a little bit of knowledge about you and what's top of mind before we begin. So you're going to see a poll appear at the top of your screen, and I encourage you to participate because we're going to use these answers to help us figure out where we should lean in and maybe also lean out as part of this webinar. So this is your chance to help steer our discussion. We want to make sure this time is as relevant as possible for you. So tell us, what is the biggest challenge that you face when improving user experience? Do you have siloed teams that make it hard to deliver something unified? Is it that you have pressures from the business that conflict with your plans? Do you have leadership or stakeholders that may not quite yet understand the value of UX? And finally, do you have a little too much or maybe too little data to work with? We want to know, and don't worry, your answers are completely anonymous. We'll share those collective results in a moment and even use this data to help steer our conversation. And like we said earlier, we would love for you to participate via those emoji reactions. I know they may seem silly in the moment, but they really help encourage us and help us know where we're resonating and if our jokes are landing. So please do participate. Now, let's see where we are at. We actually have a couple hundred responses. Amazing. And okay, it looks like it's pretty even amongst the top 3. So siloed teams, business pressures, leadership, lacking understanding. Well, at least for the lack of understanding, you now have this webinar and you'll have these slides. It sounds like it's in the resources section. So feel free to take screenshots, take notes, and hopefully the conversation here will help you advance your UX needs further. And these friction points are actually quite familiar to us because they were top of mind for us as we were rethinking our better help experience for Salesforce. And to give you some context, before last October, when we started using Agentforce, we actually had a pretty standard help portal. And while functional and even award-winning, we realized that no matter how much we were investing into that website, whether it was SEO, optimization in our search bar, meticulous time organizing our content, our customers still weren't always able to find what they needed. And this isn't a small problem. Our website gets 60 million visits a year. It's one of Salesforce's largest portals. So this means if customers aren't able to find what they need to find in the time they want to find it in, what do? they file a case, which obviously adds to support volumes. So, as you can imagine, the very thing meant to provide scalable help is actually a main driver of more human support needs. So, that's where Agentforce came in for us. It's really a new way for us to connect with our customer beyond a typical support experience. So, instead of browsing articles, clicking a series of links, submitting cases, customers can now ask any question from simple to complex and get real answers 24/7. I actually like to explain this as being able to ask the exact question, get the exact answer at the exact time that you need it. And since launch, we've seen more than 850,000 conversations with an 85% resolution rate. And that proves it's not just working, but it's working well. And one of the most critical lessons that we've learned in our journey that we're about to talk about today is how we got to our customer experience. And these learnings that we're about to share are absolutely critical when it comes to our growth and impact. So again, I do encourage you to take notes and look at these slides. And to truly grasp our UX approach, I'm going to do something a little different today, and I'm going to take a momentary detour from the Salesforce universe. And in order to do that, I'm going to tell you a story. Now, I'm going to take you back, way back to your Philosophy 101 class. A group of travelers are walking through the wilderness in the middle of the night, and it's really dark. They can't see hardly anything, and so they have their hands out in front of them, and suddenly they touch something. And the first traveler feels a bold, firm pillar rise into the skies, and he turns to the group and says, "Hey, there's a tree here." And then the second traveler touches a different part of the object and instead feels a long, thin tendril hanging from above. She turns to the group and says, "Nobody, this is a rope." Then the third traveler touches an object, but surprisingly feels something broad and flat and really wide and smooth. But so he turns to the group and says, "You're all wrong. Guys, this is a wall." And then the last traveler reaches out, feels a broad, smoothed, rounded surface, but then it tapers down and then it gets to a sharp point. She turns to the others and says, "None of you are right. This is a sphere." Now, you all see the problem here because you are part of the story. Each traveler is touching a different part of an unknown object. And in fact, one of the travelers was actually touching a leg, another a tail, another a body, and the fourth was actually touching a tusk. And even though this object was right in front of them, literally right in front of them, and they were even touching it, they couldn't see the bigger picture because what was actually in front of them was an elephant. So, why am I talking about elephants during a tech webinar? Well, here's my point. I want to make sure that you are thinking about this story in the context of what your customers are experiencing today. Ask yourself, are your customers seeing your full elephant? Or maybe is it just a rope/tail? Really think about this and consider it from your customer's perspective. Do these parts feel connected? And do you have a cohesive experience or multiple disconnected ones? Now, let's bring this back to our tech lives. I hope that you enjoyed storytelling time. But imagine this concept in the work of how your customers are experiencing the work that you individually do and the work that your teams do. Are your customers touching a tusk, others a tail, each only getting a fragment of what that real unified customer experience could be? That's exactly what happens when UX is fragmented. And in our experience with Salesforce Help, I'll be honest, users turn to Google. And maybe it's because our portal was feeling very overwhelming, unintuitive, or maybe just plainly disconnected from their day-to-day work. And well, Google, it's based off of all of the information across the web. The links and the summaries that surface there, they're not necessarily trusted. They're probably not relevant, and they certainly aren't governed by Salesforce best practices. So we know that relying on Google can sometimes lead to more frustration and wasted time, and even make our customers maybe a little less successful, which at Salesforce is not okay. So we decided to flip that. Our vision for Agentforce is to become the first stop, an experience so good, so easy, so trusted that customers want to go there first. And as you can see here, We have over 162 million digital customer visits across all of our channels annually. So we must meet our customers where they are, especially in their moment of need. And Agentforce empowers us to do just that. It guides customers across complex questions. It seamlessly brings in a human support engineer when needed and has that complete context. And the unified experience, it's the core of great AI, helping customers see the full elephant. And so that's why a focused, connected user experience using Agentforce is so very critical. Bree, we need your take here. Your team is the one that designed our customer first, agent first experience. What tips do you have as our customers set to do the same?
Yeah, thank you, Christina. Sorry, my slide isn't working. There it goes. I love that elephant story, by the way. It's an oldie, but truly a goodie, and it really explains how that fragmentation can occur and what it can look like to the customer, right? So super excited to jump in. Like I mentioned earlier, this is one of my favorite topics. I think my husband's probably really annoyed with how much I talk about this. And building on your point about creating that seamless end-to-end experience or seeing that full elephant picture, it all starts with one thing: knowing your customer. And to understand our customers, we always begin with a good old-fashioned journey map here at Salesforce. And why? Because it forces us to step directly into our customers' shoes, mapping out the key moments, emotions, and touch points that shape their experience. It's not just a diagram for us, it's a shared visual tool that brings our teams like product, marketing, sales, and customer success together. It helps us see where friction lives, where silos are slowing things down, and where we need to do better. And it helps keep us honest, right? It aligns our business goals with real customer needs, so our KPIs reflect true impact and not just short-term business wins. That's how we design with purpose. That's how Agentforce becomes what Christina just described: intuitive, trusted, and built for the whole customer and not just those fragmented pieces of the journey.
Bree, this is so great. Sorry to interrupt you. I love to see this concept of basically the whole elephant. In this journey map, it looks amazing and impressive, but it also seems like a lot of work. Is it?
Yes, it definitely looks like a lot of work. And I'm going to be honest with you, Christina, it is a lot of work went into that journey map you're seeing right there. But what you're seeing here is actually a full journey map of the end-to-end Salesforce customer experience built through the lens of our 3 success plans: standard, premier, and signature. But here's the good news: you don't have to start this big. With Agentforce, you can begin smaller, a little bit more bite-sized, and a little bit more focused. And actually, that's the perfect lead-in. So thank you, Christina, to our first UX tip, and that is design for behavior change. So we just talked about mapping the customer journey so we can understand our customers. And with Agentforce on Help, we started small, looking at users who begin their journey on Google just searching for answers. Our goal was to build a new habit, help users see that Agentforce is faster and the smartest way to get things done. But it's not just about getting people to try something new. It's about how we as designers design. It means that we have to move beyond just static flows and linear screens and into a new mindset where intent matters more than steps, context drives interaction, and conversation is now the interface.
I love that line, Brie. Interrupting you again. I love that line. Conversation becomes the interface. Can you break that down for us a little bit more? What does that really look like in practice?
Totally. In practice, this means instead of clicking through a bunch of menus and screens, users can just ask for what they need within the conversational interface itself. Then the system listens, understands intent, and responds in real time. So it's not just about guiding users down a fixed static path like we're used to, right? It's about adapting to how they think and what they're trying to do in that moment. Journey maps still matter, I want to be clear there, but not as these rigid blueprints that folks can think of them as. We use them to understand what users are trying to do, the context that they're in, and what really motivates them. They help us build empathy and see that full system view of the customer. From there, we pair that with AI-aware design, something that's responsive, contextual, and conversational. And that's how we can create experiences that are both deeply human and powerfully intelligent. So our UX tip here, I think, is pretty clear. Design for intent and not just flow. One key technique we use to do that here is called progressive disclosure, which is really just a fancy term that means revealing the right capabilities at just the right moment and not all at once. It's not about adding AI everywhere. It's about placing it in the key moments where it truly helps the customer. And then learning, that's a big piece of everything we do here, right? Learning from how it's used so we can keep making the experiences better for our customers. Okay, building on design for intent. Our next tip here is balance guidance with control. With Agentforce, guiding users does not mean taking control of the wheel. It means helping them steer smarter. We want to offer clear, proactive suggestions while keeping users firmly in control. So think of it like a smart GPS. Go with me here, okay? It suggests the best routes, warns about traffic, offers options, but you are still driving. That's the experience we're aiming for with Agentforce. Helpful, intelligent, and always, always user-led. Because when Agentforce supports without taking over, users stay confident, in control, and are much more likely to trust the experience. And then
that GPS, I'm always interrupting you, Brie. I hope that's
nice.
okay.
I love
it. Okay, that GPS metaphor is so good. It really sticks in my brain, especially probably because I rely pretty heavily on my GPS. But can you give us an example, a moment in Agentforce where that smart but not intrusive guidance really shows up?
For sure. I think a great example of this is our case creation or management experience. So when a customer has a problem, they come to Agentforce, and Agentforce steps in with smart suggestions like surfacing relevant articles, summarizing them, recommending the best next steps, things like that. But it never, ever locks the user in. They can refine, they can customize, or even override what the AI suggests. And that was really intentional. We didn't want Agentforce to block someone from creating a case just to deflect case volume. Instead, we designed it to gently guide users towards that self-service material when it makes sense. But ultimately, if they need to escalate, it makes that really easy as well. So our UX tip here is to provide helpful, proactive guidance without ever taking the wheel.
This is so good, Brie. Thank you so much for sharing. And before we get to our final tip, I want everyone to take a moment, maybe stretch it out, and let's take a break from the tips because we want to hear from you, our audience. Let's find out where you're at. You should see that pop-up appear on your screen now and take a moment to tell us, where are you on your UX journey? Are you just starting out? You're new to formal UX strategy, exploring concepts, and maybe that's why you're here. Or are you building on the basics? You're doing some UX work, but maybe there's still some alignment to be made with your stakeholders. Or are you actively integrating UX? You're applying principles, iterating on experiences. Or are you deeply embedded? Could you co-lead this webinar with us because UX is core to your strategy, helping drive your designs? We want to know, so please participate. Okay, again, we have a couple hundred responses. That's fantastic. Let's see where we landed. Okay, just starting out. Well, perfect. So you are the perfect audience to start this journey with us, especially as so many are just starting out and building on those basics. But I'm also glad to see that we have some advanced participants here. And by the way, I know I've been mentioning that the slides are available in the resource section. I just realized I don't think they are. So please do reach out to your AE or send a follow-up to the email that's sent here so that we can follow up with you with those slides. But in the meantime, feel free to take screenshots. And of course, this recording will be available to you via email, I believe tomorrow is what Moya said. So this is great. It's regardless of where you are in your journey, it's good to know. And it's good that this is going to be a focus for you because the core thing to really bring out here, and what I hope is ringing true, is that in order for customers to see your impact, it has to be driven through UX. And we're learning this firsthand through Brie. So Brie, I'm going to send this back to you and to share some more tips on how we're doing this today.
Thanks, Christina. Okay, so that brings us to our third tip. Build trust with transparent, emotionally aware personalization. Today, users expect more than just smart AI. They want it to feel deeply personal. We've seen this over and over again in our research and all of our customer feedback. And this means Agentforce needs to offer proactive, tailored support based on a user's role, their industry, and their past interactions with us. But just as important, and probably more important, it needs to be transparent about how their data is being used. And it goes even further. Users want AI that can sense tone, whether someone's frustrated, confused, or in a rush, and respond with empathy. Sometimes that means adjusting the tone, and sometimes it means knowing when to bring them to a human. And when we combine personalization, transparency, and emotional awareness, AI stops feeling like just a tool and starts feeling like a trusted partner. That's what our users expect, and it's how we build a trusted agentic experience. So, my screen stopped. Okay.
Sorry,
Well,
guys, my mic is not working, but I appreciate you stopping. Maybe the platform understood what I was trying to do. I really love that point that you're making about becoming the trusted assistant. How do you see that playing out? Customers ask this all the time. Are we aiming for AI to be human-like or just respond with human-like understanding?
that's a pretty deep question, Christina. And honestly, I think probably one that a lot of teams are wrestling with right now. If you want my take, I don't think we're trying to make AI feel human. We're aiming for a human like understanding. So I think it should speak with empathy, adapt to tone and context, and know when to hand off to a human. But it shouldn't feel artificial or cross the line into being too human, because I think that would be really creepy, kind of verge on AI on what was that movie? I, Robot with Will Smith, if anybody remembers that one. A little too creepy for my taste. But the UX tip here is personalize with purpose. Be adaptive, transparent, emotionally aware, and always respect user boundaries. That's how we build trust with both our brain and our heart. Okay. Oh, surprise bonus tip. No, marketing did not sign off on this. So just let's keep it between us, even though they're watching right now and now they know, but snuck one in there. So tip number 4, our bonus tip, is be your own first user. We've talked a lot about trust, and one of the best ways to build it is to use your own technology first. At Salesforce, we've been using Agentforce to streamline support, speed up onboarding, and improve those internal workflows. It's our customer zero story in action. By starting with ourselves, we've had the space to test, learn, refine, and fail, and we do a lot of that as well before any of our customers ever rely on it. So our UX tip here is prove value by example. Use the product first. Share what's working, share what's not working, and show exactly where Agentforce delivers real value. That's how we make sure Agentforce doesn't just show up in an experience wherever it wants to show up, right? But it's actually meaningful to the experience. And honestly, it's the clearest way to show confidence in the experience you're building. Okay, so we just talked earlier about having a shared understanding of your customers and how they interact with you today, and that is absolutely key. When everyone is aligned on what that journey looks like today, where the pain points are, what really matters, UX becomes central to your Agentforce strategy. It's how we start breaking down silos that we were talking about earlier with the pains that we're feeling, right? Getting teams speaking the same customer language and making sure we're solving the right problems and not just the loudest ones, because sometimes we can do that, right? This is what moves the experience forward in a meaningful way. It keeps us focused, grounded, and aligned on what success really looks like for your business and for your customer. So just to recap, we've covered some of our core strategies that's designed for behavior change, balance guidance with control, personalize with emotional intelligence, and our sneaky little bonus tip that I threw in there, being your own first user. These aren't just tips. They're the roadmap to faster answers, fewer escalations, and building real trust with your customers. So drum roll, please. And I'm trying to, I don't know, can you hear my drum roll, Christina? This is for you. Let's see how these strategies have moved the needle for Agentforce on Help. Take it away, Christina.
Thank you so much, Brie, and I could hear it, so thank you. So this is always my favorite part where I get to talk about the impact of the work that we do. And you can see here that we're breaking it up into three key milestones: our initial launch, then 3 months in when we launched our beautiful full screen experience on help.salesforce.com, and then today, 6 months later, where you can see that it's pretty consistent, that a normal week, we pretty much get 1 million visits to our help portal. And the conversations, as we've built them over time and scaled up over time, have significantly grown. In fact, right now we're averaging over 31,000 conversations per week. And even though we've scaled our access to Agentforce, we've been hyper focused on quality. And this scorecard reflects that. As you can see, our resolution rate is up from 40% initially to now an impressive 86%. And this means that more customers can get their issues resolved directly through Agentforce. Crucially, we also have our handoff to human rate. Also, you might have seen this reflected. Some people call this an escalation rate. It's down from 31% to just 4%. And this is a massive reduction in the transfers to human support engineers and the number of cases that are created, which, if you'll recall from the very beginning of this presentation, is precisely the KPI that drove us to consider Agentforce in the first place. So even though these conversations of 31,000, I know that it sounds large, especially given where we started, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. Our ultimate goal for true impact is to increase the percentage of customer conversations with Agentforce to get much, much higher. And the only way we can do this is through Bree's team, through creating truly frictionless user experiences. And as she mentioned, our team has a 2-week release cycle, so we try out new ideas a lot because that's how we learn, how we improve, and how we get to those ultimate better experiences with our customers. And probably not surprising, the momentum, it's just accelerating. Just recently, we put on redirects for our standard users who go to our create a case form. Now they're seamlessly brought into Agentforce where they can create cases through Agentforce with more personalized context and a whole lot less clicks. And we believe that this is going to help our customers get more accustomed to going to Agentforce for their needs. And this is a critical step in our strategy, and we're already seeing significant growth in usage. And in fact, you'll see that impact in our webinar next month. So make sure that you come and participate in that so you can see where we're headed. These metrics truly underscore the fact that by focusing on UX, we drive adoption and therefore impact. Now, at this point, our customers usually ask, okay, these results are great, but how did you go about it? Well, we actually launched Agentforce in just 4 weeks. We did this by flighting the experience. We started with a small cohort, just 10% of our authenticated users, initially reaching around 116 conversations. This allowed us to carefully monitor the volume, and quite honestly, it's probably embarrassing, but we manually reviewed each and every conversation. We wanted to see Agentforce in action with our customers, and that's how we rapidly learned, iterate, and ultimately built confidence in Agentforce responses. And with that confidence, we quickly scaled up. Over weeks 2 and 3, we expanded our cohort, as you'll see, to 20 and 60% until our conversation volume very much increased. And we also set benchmarks for answer quality and resolution rates that we quickly achieved in each of these phases. Now, meeting these benchmarks fueled our confidence and allowed us to launch pretty quickly, right? In 4 weeks to general availability. We are now available to all customers, authenticated and non-authenticated alike, ramping up to 17,500 conversations in that 4th week. But as you saw from the previous slide, we're now over 30,000 conversations. And in fact, I saw from some of the notes that people are asking, where can I see a demo? Go to help.salesforce.com and check it out for yourself. Now, something also important to share is probably what did we learn? Now, if I could go back 6 months, here are the top learnings that we wish that we knew. It all comes down to 2 vital interconnected cycles: the knowledge cycle, or the brain, and the service cycle, the heart. And when we first launched, I'll be honest, we primarily concentrated on the brain, the knowledge cycle, that left-hand side. We focused on making sure our content and data were organized optimally for Data Cloud. And that way we could feel confident in the answers that Agentforce was giving. That said, equally crucial and probably something we honestly overlooked was the service cycle or the heart. And this is all about how we make our customers feel, adding empathy into the experience. So imagine a customer comes to our help agent and imagine they say that they're experiencing a Salesforce outage. Now, this doesn't happen often, but it's one of the most critical moments that we will ever experience with a customer. And this is a key opportunity for us. We could either use this opportunity to build trust or tear it down. So, as you can imagine, how we show up truly matters. We deliberately train our human support engineers to lead with empathy, so we need our agent to do the same. So, for example, the way that we've designed it is we lead with empathy. I'm sorry this is happening, and then express urgency. I'm going to get to a support engineer as quickly as possible. And notice something key here. This interaction has nothing to do with content, has nothing to do with knowledge. Instead, this is the art of designing a good service experience. Asking a series of questions to troubleshoot simply isn't always appropriate. Again, we want to earn the trust of our customers through these experiences. So both of these cycles, the knowledge cycle, service cycle, heart, and the brain, they're absolutely essential for truly effective agent experiences. By mastering both, we can deliver exceptional, empathetic experiences while also freeing our human agents to do more complex tasks and drive cost savings and better experiences for our customers. Now, we've been moving quite fast. So there's been a lot of innovation over the last 6 months, and we're just getting started. Our team is so excited and so talented, and this relentless focus on UX is already driving incredible impacts, and we're going to push this even further. I'm going to highlight a few advancements that we're excited about. Here's our roadmap for 2025, and to help you follow along, I'm going to concentrate on the items that are in the circles. And so first up is personalization. We're actively building actions to answer CRM-driven data questions like, what products do I own? Or how much storage do I have left? We want to make sure that every interaction feels tailored and efficient directly from the agent experience. Next, we're going to launch in other languages. Soon we'll launch in Japanese, and here's the truly groundbreaking part. We are launching on only our English content, utilizing the LLM for translation. So this means that soon we'll be able to scale up to service in many more languages, more than ever because of Agentforce. And by the way, this isn't just about cutting costs by just saying English-only content. This is actually more about delivering a seamless global success experience that has never been possible before by unlocking our digital labor. This is a huge unlock for any service organization. And then what gets us truly excited is voice. We believe voice is the future UX for agents, and the possibilities are tremendous. Imagine a world where a customer can get access to speak directly to us anytime for anything they need in any language. This allows them to even solve small inquiries with just spoken word with customers who maybe they just want to talk about what they want to accomplish. So however people want to receive their success, that success is now unlocked for them too. And I'm so excited about this roadmap, and we'll continue racing forward with all of you. And yes, I do keep mentioning help.salesforce.com by name because I want you to be a part of this story. I want you to experience these innovations as we drive them. So please come visit us early and often. And now for the best part, we are here to answer your questions. Bree, are you ready?
I am ready, Christina.
Awesome. So for everyone on the call, in case you haven't done so already, please submit your questions through that Q&A box. We're eager to hear what you want to know, and so let's see what you have in store for us. And by the way, as these answers trickle in, the other thing about help.salesforce.com, there's like a more information button. A couple of people have come in and asked for examples and case studies and demos. You can click that button and it will send you to our case study page where you'll get tons of resources that our teams create with those best practices. Okay, so now to answer questions. The first question is for Bree. How do you align and drive buy-in from other teams for UX strategy, especially when it involves a behavior change?
Oh, wow. Okay. This is another one of my favorite topics. I actually was just speaking with my team about this the other day of having influence and understanding people's incentives and motivations, right? We are part of a very large organization. I think Christina, keep me honest, maybe we're around like 70,000 people at Salesforce right now, something like that. It's massive. So to get teams that are very desperate, like very spread apart, working on different things on the same page, making sure that UX is embedded in their strategy can be difficult, especially for an organization at this scale. What we've really worked on, and it's interesting if I go back to kind of when we formed this team for customer success. So that was last February. So customer success up until then we had one UX designer. Now we have a whole team. And as you can imagine, bringing in a new UX and creative team into customer success, there was kind of some pushback and some friction naturally, right? Because it's a way of doing things a little bit different. Kind of before that, we were a little bit more product centered. Let's just launch, let's go and then learn afterwards. But we're like, now we're bringing in design. And we really want design at the forefront of what that is, along with product management and engineering. So those three legs to the bar stool, right? So we had to do a lot of relationship building. I think that's what it comes down to, right? A lot of understanding where our partner teams are coming from, what they're trying to accomplish, what they're trying to achieve, and how do we help tell our UX story, right? Why it's so important to help to bring us in from pre-strategy to concept and launch, to actually make it helpful for the customer and bring them along in this journey. So we had to really understand where everybody's heads were at, basically, in terms of impact and what they're trying to achieve, and then how to tell that story from a UX perspective of how we can help them get there and help them get there even better. Right? So if they bring UX along with them.
Speaking of that and relationship building and stakeholder management, there's another question that came in here that I saw. It's, do different channels offer different UX solutions? Are there any overlap between the channels?
Oh, are we talking about like the portals and the different channels we use from a digital success perspective?
Yeah, let's talk about digital success. I think that makes sense because we're talking about customer success today.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So there was a slide, this rainbow slide that Christina showed at the beginning of this presentation that shows all the different channels that we use from a digital success perspective. Part of that arsenal, if you will, right, is now Agentforce that we have at our disposal. And I think Agentforce was a really good forcing function for the entire Salesforce company to kind of get on the same page. We have portals kind of everywhere at Salesforce. We have different teams working on different things. It can be very disjointed. Like Christina was mentioning earlier, remember the elephant, right? It can feel disjointed for our customers. And I think by introducing Agentforce, it really gave us this lever to pull and this thread to connect all the teams together around Salesforce to get them on the same page, rowing in the same direction towards a common goal. So I think Agentforce was a really good propeller into this UX becomes central to your strategy. And now, right, like this was a pretty new UX team. We've been here about a year and a half now. But the company has more mature UX teams in product and in our, Salesforce.com space, those types of spaces. And we didn't really speak to each other before. Now we're speaking to each other all the time, every single week. I think we have multiple meetings. It is really cool to see a company this large come together and actually be talking to each other and understanding that end-to-end customer journey and how we're going to thread Agentforce through it. So that's been really cool.
Something that I think has been really interesting about that is how teams are basically volunteering, right? People are like, I want to be a part of this. And so what we're actually seeing is that instead of necessarily having to hire help, I don't know how this is going to come across, people are volunteering and coming to the table and saying, here's what my team can bring. And we're able to bring them into the fold. And so creating, again, that whole elephant and unified experience, both internally and externally.
Yeah.
The next question's from me. So from initial project concept to launch for the revamped help approach using Agentforce, how long did it take to achieve? how big was your team that was involved, and who was involved to make it happen? Well, I kind of just answered the last part of that question in my transition here, but how long it took. So again, it took us 4 weeks to get up and running because we launched in October. As you can imagine, we had some fluctuations during like holiday periods, as an example. So I'd say that we started to really see and feel the results in January. But something else also happened in January, which is that full screen experience that we're so excited about. And the reason why the full screen experience is such a big deal is because I really think, or we have a theory, I don't know if it's true, but it probably has something to do with it. I think people think of Agentforce as a chatbot. They don't really realize the power of what it can do. And so because of that, we're constantly trying to refine what that approach looks like. And so I think that's also why January was a key time frame for us. So it was the full screen. We were out of holiday season. So that was, again, we launched in October. So, that's like 3 months, I'd say. And then in terms of how big the team was, I will say, so we were customer zero. We were the first and largest implementation of Agentforce. And so we did a lot of figuring this out on our own with our own teams. But like I said, as our progress started to be really shown, as we were ramping up to general availability, we had a lot of people come to the table to come help. And so we have a variety of teams now involved. And then we actually do have an article on our case study page that breaks down exactly what our team best practices are. So please do check that out. Okay, next question is for Bree. How much time and effort should be spent on UX?
All the time and effort. No. So I think that there's a misconception, right? And I going back to the poll questions where folks are maybe struggling for either stakeholders or leadership to see the true value of UX. A lot of the time we're brought in at the tail end, right? And we're treated more like a service of like, hey, I had this idea from product management. Here's what we want to do. Here's what we want to test. Go forth and make some wireframes and some prototypes, right? And we're kind of treated as that service. We have really solidified ourselves in Salesforce as a key component to the overarching strategy, just like we talked about in this webinar, right? So we are involved right from pre-strategy all the way through. So when you talk about how much time and effort should be spent on UX, I think it should just be this notion of, hey, they're involved the entire time, right? That product manager and that designer should be like this, especially with engineering as well. Again, I talk about the 3 legs to the bar stool. They should be going everywhere with each other. And so I kind of joked, right? Like all the time, but I'm kind of serious as well, because it should just be part of the full product lifecycle development.
And something really unique about your group, Bree, is that it's also bidirectional, because your group also does a lot of our research, right? And so they're talking with customers all the time, and they're also able to help feed that product pipeline as well. And so I find that really unique and really special about our org, and I would say other people should do the same.
Oh, for sure. If they can instill that in their own organizations, so then you're even involved pre-strategy, do it. Yeah.
And in fact, again, totally not scripted here, but your team, Bree, because I was involved at the beginning too, where we actually started quite scrappy, right? We didn't need to have a very formal survey process necessarily when we first started. And again, that scrappiness just helps us iterate. Okay, next question. Is there a way to A/B test a new solution with Agentforce versus the conventional way to use our way in our own business? So it's asking about A/B testing. So you can do A/B testing. It depends on, well, do you want me to answer this, or Bree, you got it?
Sure, you can go. And then I can add any color.
Okay, sure. So yes, you can do A/B testing through Experience Cloud. And so what we ended up doing is that we ended up flighting our experience, like we said. And so we kept it to only 10% of our authenticated users. And so we were able to see what the experiences and how we were achieving, again, those resolution rate benchmarks, we were able to basically do our own A/B testing by just flighting that experience, again, starting at 10, then 20, then 60, then moving all the way to general availability. And as you can imagine, general availability, it felt like a big launch for us because we knew we had context of the folks that were coming in at first, and then we opened it up.
And just to jump in, because I saw another question come through that was asking something about, can you launch Agentforce with Experience Cloud? And yes, our help site is built on Experience Cloud. So I just want to make that clear.
Thank you for making that clear. Yes. Okay, so last question is for Bree. What were the biggest learnings or unexpected challenges when Salesforce first deployed Agentforce internally for your own support?
Oh, that's a good one. Probably you're going to get different answers depending on who you're talking to. So you're talking to me today. Okay, the biggest challenge when Salesforce first deployed Agentforce internally, it was so new. It was so new, and we had to learn really fast. And we actually had our CEO pushing us to go even faster, right? And as a designer and design team, you don't ever want to push something that looks messy or you're embarrassed by. But that's kind of how we had to do it. We had to launch first. We had to pilot. We had to move fast so we could learn and feed that feedback directly into our product team so they can make it better for our customers before they deployed it. Mm-hmm. So I think the biggest learning in that is, or the challenge, if you want to call it that, is be okay to fail. Like, be okay to test things out, fail, deploy, talk about those failures openly. I think a lot of our customers want to hear that. Like, what didn't work well for you? How would you do it differently? How would you think about it differently? And you have to be okay with failure. You have to go fast. You have to make it better. You have to iterate over time. And that's okay. That's okay. And just be open and transparent about that with your customers.
I'd add a piece to that, which is something that also happened. People are so excited about AI and technology, and I talk to customers all the time, so they experience it too. It's not just us, but with all that excitement are so many ideas. And so having and thinking through what your governance process is going to be really helpful. Because again, like, the whole point of this presentation is to think of that whole elephant. But if renewals and sales and CSMs, if everyone's using different agents, your customers are going to experience something fragmented as well. So I would encourage you to also think through what that governance process should look like. Again, it should still be, I shouldn't say scrappy necessarily. Like, it should still allow people to iterate quickly. But again, bringing some focus so that we can serve customers better is really key.
And, Christine, I love what you said, like, bringing that back to journey mapping. That's why that's so key, right? And getting all of those stakeholders involved from that true end-to-end experience, so we can understand how our customers are moving through that journey and how Agentforce should show up throughout that journey and be a cohesive experience. So get your stakeholders all around the table sitting with you and have them in on this, right? Like, bring everybody in and go forth together as a team.
Completely agree, because people see different sides of the business, have different perspectives, different backgrounds, and it's going to be super, super helpful for alignment. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I want to thank you all for joining us today. We had so many great questions, and thank you for your engagement and for spending time with us. If you do have follow-up questions or need additional information, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are here to help, and we're excited to continue this journey. Again, this was the fourth part of this series. In our next webinar, we're going to dive deeper into how we're using Agent Builder to build topics and actions that drive even more effective Agentforce outcomes. So, with that, let me send you off. I wish you a beautiful day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.